Okay. Today's video. So this is a explanation or about a concept explained in a book called 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by, I think, Stephen Covey. And one of the things he talks about in that book is this idea, or this dual idea around about circles of influence and circles of control. So to best explain it, let's start with the circle of influence. So circle of influence is kind of like, as you could imagine from the name, everything in your power to influence. You may not be able to actually, completely dictate what happens or, within that circle of influence. So it's kind of like all the areas in your life that you have an ability to have an impact on. So it could be, your family situation is something within your, sphere of influence or your circle of influence, because you can't necessarily dictate the events of like your family life or your personal life, but they're definitely something you can influence. Now, within the circle of influence, there's another smaller circle, concentric smaller circle called the circle of control. Now, this is essentially the things you can dictate. So the things like what you decide to eat, or whether or not you study or not, or what you choose to do for, a job. Like, that's within your circle of control. It has to do with something you personally dictate, because you're the one that makes the decision on things. Like, the final decision, whether or not you do that or don't do that, or whatever it may be. And so what a lot of the purpose of what we talk about, and like the aim of all these things and ideas and techniques we're implementing, is in essence to kind of be expanding the both of those circles. So the more proficient you get, the more skilled you get, the more you kind of become more valuable. The more valuable you get, the wider your circle of influence. So it can keep expanding to an infinite degree. You know what I mean? So it can just, there's no end point. It just keeps going, but there is a limit at any point. So you do have a max point of your influence at any moment, and the goal of that is to constantly be expanding it, because the more things you can influence, the more that you can potentially change things. You can't, influence is one thing, control is another, but being able to influence wider events, thanks to you developing yourself and creating more value in your life and the lives of others, will in turn give you more influence. And hopefully, if you actually believe in those principles and doing the right thing and thinking about others more than yourself, and thinking, how can I bring the most value to my community, your influence will, as you can imagine, expand. But the other good thing is, not only will it be expanding, but you'll be doing something good and fulfilling. You'll get fulfillment through that, because you're not just doing it for you, you're doing it to bring other people up as well. So I think that should be something to think about. And now, it's not something you can really map out. Like, when it comes to this circle of influence, you can't, calculate it to a number or something like that. It's more of a, intangible thing. It's one of those things you can't feel, but it's kind of there, if you know what I mean. And same in saying that with the control. Like, if you can expand your circle of control further, and get it closer and closer to where your circle of influence lies, that means that, and like I said before, if you're doing it for the right reasons, to benefit this community and to benefit others, good things will just naturally come to you as well if you're doing that. And if you're ever expanding it, you're reaching more people, and influencing or helping, or your direct actions will be able to, or the actions you can directly decide, will be helping more people, and that will in turn just be better. And I mean, I know it's kind of vague, what me just saying, oh, it will be better, but it's hard to explain it with all the different the variability between people's lives all over the globe. But I think, and look, maybe I'm just naive or whatever, but if more and more people viewed their life and their sense of influence and control in that schema of being able to thinking about how to expand it, but also how to implement what you do have, or like what level you are at, for good, worthwhile endeavors, will just benefit people in general. And I mean, if more and more people did that, I think there would be a lot more, joy in the world. And I think that is something we all probably want to be moving towards, because not saying that good things don't happen in this world, they definitely do. And also, having said that, bad things do also happen in this world. But I think just the more people out there who are looking to build people up, the better. So keep that in mind. And because a lot of people a lot of people don't even realize that they do have a circle of influence or a circle of control. They're completely unaware as to that. So in a lot of instances, they feel helpless and kind of like feel like everything they do is either not worthwhile, or it doesn't amount to anything. And I think that's a bad mindset to get in, because it becomes very defeatist, and you then become like almost nihilistic. Like, you don't do anything because, what's the fucking point? The point is you could fucking help someone, and that, who knows, maybe that might make their life easier, and it also might make you feel a little bit good about yourself and go, hey, I might be pretty pathetic and a loser, but hey, at least I can muster enough strength or energy to help someone else and make theirs a little bit easier. But whatever. And you just don't want to get into that mindset. You want to be thinking about how you can build people up. And like, if people don't know about this, you know about their circle of influence and their circle of control. And it always starts out small. Like, of course it does. Like with all good things, it always starts out small. But that's just the beginning. And if you're consciously aware of those ideas and that kind of that framework of the circles of influence and control, I think it's a great starting point and a great way to frame how you should be going about things, because you can realize that you might have to make some changes in your own life because they're negatively impacting your ability to expand your circle of control and influence for like worthy purposes. So you might have to make, of course, personal changes yourself, but it kind of gives you that motivation and also that benefit. Like, it gives you an incentive to do it. So have a think about it. If that spoke to you or anything, I think it is a good way to like view things alongside the other kind of different frameworks and techniques we've talked about. And don't get too dismayed if you feel like your circle of influence or circle of control is small. Working on it is just being aware of it, and working on it is the best start. And the longer you are aware and the longer you are working on it, the more it's just going to expand. And the best thing about most like these kind of things in life is it's compounding. So it's very small to start with, but give it some time, and then you'll see big gains and big improvements in not just your life but in other people's lives as well. And I think that is where we might leave this one for today. So drop a like and a subscribe and follow or whatever, and I'll see you next week. Bye.